Welcome to
Art Block.
the phenomenon that plagues every single creative. Believe it or not, there are some very simple solutions to art block that you may or may not think is bullshit, and I'm here to share them with you. If you just don't want to draw, then you're in luck for the easiest treatment for art block. If art is just a hobby, something that you don't really have to do to pay bills, then simple, don't draw. We live in an age where everyone is trying to turbocharge their learning, and sometimes people feel guilty about not working harder or wanting to do something else just for fun. And hey, guess what? You don't have to draw all the time. Your brain knows what it wants, and if it's telling you that it doesn't want to draw right now, then go do something else. But if art is not a hobby to you, then that means you need to get the work done, whether or not you like it. Then that's a totally different story, and the next tips might be a little bit more meaningful. So you might want to draw, but don't know what to draw, or you know what to draw, but it's coming out terribly. These two problems are quite similar, and they're both due to tunnel vision. The best solution for tunnel vision is to step back or walk away. The more literal, the better. The farther away, the better. Even if it feels wrong to stop working at that time, what you need at that moment is to expand your mind. Creative work is based heavily on making connections between things. Different settings, different skills, circumstances, experience. When you have tunnel vision, you focus much more on one aspect of your work in order to gain great awareness for fine detail. But in doing so, you sacrifice awareness for everything around you that isn't immediately relevant. But you absolutely need these seemingly irrelevant information just so that you can make connections that I mentioned and be creative. What groundbreaking idea will you come up with by feeding your brain with a visual of a blank canvas? And the best way to expand your mind and think again is to experience different things. Do something that you normally don't do, like taking a bus somewhere or walking somewhere, anywhere at all if you normally drive. Or go take a walk in a wooded park if you're usually in an urban center. Watch a good show from a genre that you usually wouldn't touch. Put yourself in a situation where you would run across a lot of different people that you would normally never see. Not only is this kind of thing generally good for broadening your horizon, it can also feed you so much new information that you didn't even know would come from these places in the forms of stories. Scenarios that you witness, atmosphere that you feel, lives and personalities of others that you observe. And all of these things, no matter how irrelevant, they are things that you can use to express your work. And how do you make these irrelevant information useful? Well, that's yours to figure out because you are the artist and you are the creative that is supposed to make connections between these things. And these are the kind of things that no matter how hard you think, you would not be able to come up with them if you were working in a sterile environment. And even if you're on a deadline, in a controlled scheduling environment, an hour spent opening up your mind and releasing yourself from tunnel vision is much better invested than sitting here and being stuck and trying to grab creative ideas out of your absolutely empty brain. And this applies to the kind of art block that you get from having trouble executing the technique of a piece. If you jumped right into drawing an exciting idea, without setting down the foundation and the basics and all the planning, composition, everything, and now you've been fixing mistakes for 4 hours, but it just looks worse and worse and worse. Stop drawing what you're drawing, stop drawing period, walk to the kitchen, get a drink, go to the bathroom, come back. And just the sheer act of detaching yourself from what you're working on allows you so many more options, possibilities of how to solve this problem of a horribly drawn picture. Your mind is not just stuck on how do I change small things. Suddenly you would be open to making huge changes to your composition, trying out big, different ideas, or just plain starting over. Often the two biggest problems people face are, number one, identifying when you are tunnel vision and when it is time for you to pull yourself back. Because often frustration stops you from being able to make these rational decisions and be aware of what situation you've put yourself in. And number 2, remaining productive even if it meant you have to pull yourself away. The solution for number 1 is a habit that you have to build over time. You have to keep reminding yourself, whether through vocalizing to yourself, having reminders on the wall, having a phone alarm, to keep the idea in your head that you must be careful not to tunnel vision. Over time, as you do it more and more often, you will start to notice it without external help. And number 2, to remain productive when you need to pull yourself away from tunnel vision, is to have a different but equally productive task ready. A different kind of productive work like writing or chores. Preparing this swap is important because being able to control for what purpose you are doing a task prevents you from simply treating these tasks as distractions out of impulse and risk wasting time. In the end, art block is just the dark side of focus. Without focus, we would not be able to consider things in detail like we can. But with too much focus, we lack access to the big picture when we need it. Art block itself is a feeling, and feelings often blind your senses in such a way that you are not aware of what is happening to you until much later on. But once you're aware of the nature of art block, the solutions are actually quite simple. It is actually being able to detach yourself from the moment and not falling for the instinct of pushing on through your frustrations. That is the most difficult step for most people. But once you're able to let go of your attachments and impatience, you will find that the symptoms of art block to be quite simple problems with quite straightforward solutions.